Yeah, I think confused.
Okay, so, and this may not ring a bell, and you can, of course, use the Pythagorean theorem, but if you had me for geometry, which Natalie did, Addison did, Valeria did, there were quite a few in the room who did have me for geometry, I knew these because they were Pythagorean triples. So I knew my 5, 12, 13, 8, 15, 17, and I don't have to use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so you found these values. That seemed pretty easy. Go on to the next page. It got a little harder on the next page, where you had to find the remaining values, and you were told like tangent A. Did anyone have a question on 1 or 2 on the next page? Okay, so what if I, instead of working number 2, okay, I'll work number 2. Okay, so she asked about number 2, so I'm going to work it again. If your paper is blank, because you've not been writing anything down for some time now would be time to use that pencil. Okay, so it told me in the problem that this is a right triangle, so I know there is a right angle somewhere. And they've apparently named one of the angles A. So she put her A down here. I'm going to be rebellious and put my A in the other corner. Does not matter. They told me in the problem that cosine of A is equal to 1/2. Well, cosine is, you've learned SOHCAHTOA. So what is what over what?
Adjacent over half.
Yes, so if you need to write this down every time you can, thank you, 2 and 1 can have a point, except 1's getting on my nerves, so I'll give it to him, but it's a question mark.
A questionable point.
Okay, so cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so the 1 would be the adjacent, and the 2 would be the hypotenuse. Where on earth in that triangle is the hypotenuse?
On the other side of the A, to the right, the long side.
It's the longest side, and how do you find the longest side? It's always across from the 90 degrees. So the 2 is going to be this side because this is the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90 degrees. Perfect. So let me say that again in case you confused.
And the 1 would be on
The 2 is across from that 90 degrees. That's why I know it's the hypotenuse, because the hypotenuse is the longest side. And so the adjacent, so adjacent would be, it's either next to the A or across from the A.
Next to it.
So this would be adjacent. And then opposite of angle A would be this side, because literally this side of the triangle is opposite of that angle A. So I know adjacent is 1. So I've got 1, 2, and I'm missing this other side. And I've got to figure that out. So what we could use is it says square root of 3. We could use that Pythagorean theorem, which said a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What number always goes in the c squared?
The hypotenuse.
Yes, 2 and 3 get a point. C squared is always the hypotenuse. So I know it's 1 squared plus, I don't know that one. It doesn't matter if you put the 1 in for the A or the B. All that really matters is that Valeria makes sure the hypotenuse goes in C. So her hypotenuse was 2, so that's why I put 2 squared in for C squared. Okay, so I've got 1 plus B squared equals 4. So I've got B squared equals 3. I take the square root, I get B squared equals positive 3. Now you and I have gone over that really it's plus or minus 3 in real life, because b squared takes square root, especially a plus or minus. But since we're dealing with an actual length, there are no negative lengths, so that's why I'm not even going to bother to put the plus or minus, because there is no minus square root of 3 when we're talking about actual lengths. I'm not negative 3 centimeters high, so therefore I'm going to leave it as positive square root of 3. Now the whole reason we did all this is because they asked us for tangent. And tangent is what over what?
Opposite over adjacent.
So you can get another point. Okay, so opposite of A, we just found out was square root of 3.
Square root of 3 over 1.
And then adjacent is 1, so square root of 3 over 1, which is just square root of 3. So table 2, get a point.
So you simplified it?
I did. Do you have to know? But again, we're trying to prep up for our semester exam. It would be simplified as an answer choice on the semester exam. So would it be smart? Yeah. My equal to sign kind of rambled together. Okay. I see that Miss Weathers found cosecant and cotangent as well, which is excellent practice, but I'm lazy and the problem only told me I had to find tangent, so now that I found tangent, I'm done.
She told us we had to do it that way.
No. I mean, it only asks for tangent.
Well, she was finding everything.
Well, if it says to find all 6 values, then yeah, you got to find sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, cosecant. But if it only asks for tangent, then why are we doing extra? I'm just going to find tangent.
See, that's why I was so confused.
Okay, go ahead, Paige.
I was going to say if you work number 3, but
I can. Okay, so number 3 I've written all over, so I'm going to have to work number 3 a little higher. So I know there's a right triangle because the directions say in a right triangle. It says side B is 3 over 8. So I'm going to put a B, let's say here.
Where'd they get that?
It doesn't
A?
matter. I don't know, they made it up. Okay, again, sine is what over what? 3, get the point. Okay, so it's opposite over hypotenuse. So I understand that means the 8 is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to put the 8 on the side across from that right angle because the hypotenuse is always the longest side, and you can always find him because he's across from the right angle. Okay, now I've got to decide what to do with that 3. It says to put them on the opposite. So is this side the opposite or this side the opposite?
The second side.
Yes, so 2 get the point. So there we go. This is the opposite.
Now we gotta find the
And how do I find the opposite? It's the opposite of the angle I'm talking about. So if I had drawn B here, the opposite would have been this side. It depends on where B was as to where the opposite is. So if the triangle had been drawn like this, let's say they gave us a picture like this, and B was here, the opposite would have been over here. Opposite literally meaning the furthest away from angle B. It depends on where B is as to where we say the opposite is.
so it's the other adjacent to the other side.
Yeah, adjacent's you're like, okay, I've got the hypotenuse, I've got the opposite. It has to, adjacent's the leftover guy.
Would be below the B.
So it's next to the other.
So this one, it would be, yes, that's why it's called adjacent, because it's beside him, yes.
But the hypotenuse is always the longest side.
Across from the 90, always, yes.
Across from the 90.
I even draw me an arrow sometimes to remind myself. Okay, so we know it's 3 and 8. We need to find this missing side. So we're going to use that Pythagorean theorem again, unless you know your triples, which it's fine if you don't remember. Geometry was a long time ago. In fact, this one's not even a triple that I recall instantly off my head. So it doesn't matter if you put the 3 in as A. It doesn't matter if you put the 3 in as B. But what does matter in life is that C squared better be the 8 because it's the hypotenuse. The C has to be the hypotenuse. So I've got 9 plus B squared equals 64. So B squared equals 64 minus 9?
55.
55. So B
Root.
equals the square root of 55. Now, I get that's annoying, and that's somewhere between 7 and 8. But that's fine. That's what we need. It doesn't matter that we got a weird square root. That's fine. Okay, but we're not done. And if this was a semester exam, that would be one of the answer choices because our churro is like me and he's super excited and he sees square root of 55 as one of the answer choices. He's going to pick it. He's not actually followed directions. They asked for the tangent of B. They asked for the tangent of B, which is opposite over adjacent. Gets you another point, ma'am.
So the point down on the paper.
Okay, and then the opposite would be 3
3 over 55.
over the square root of 55, and then that's dangerous. Can we leave it like that?
No.
Mm-mm. What do we need to do?
That's danger zone.
You multiply, but does anyone remember the C word as to what we're doing? Yeah, that's it. We've always been doing the crib. Let me tell you. We're multiplying by we're doing what? We're blanking the denominator. It started with an R. We're rationalizing the denominator. Wow. You can have another point too. Good.
She said it.
Yeah, she did. Rationalizing. She didn't say crib or anything weird.
So why didn't they do the bottom when they cancel out?
They this times this just got rid of the square root.
See, I pay attention.
If you typed it in your calculator, it'd do that for you too, ma'am. Just in case.
Did you hear me or something?
Yeah, I did. Okay, so let's look on the next page. It's really the same sort of thing. Sometimes, though, instead of giving you an angle, so what we were doing then is we found the missing side. Now sometimes we're given the degree, sometimes we're missing a side. Now it starts getting a hot mess and we might actually have to solve an equation. I sure can. Would you like number 5 since you've not worked it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do 5 and 6. Okay, so like I said, okay. So sometimes we gotta work it out a little. Let's see. So we see the 8. What side of the triangle is the 8? For sure, that's the hypotenuse. And then we're told the 32. In relation to the 32, the x would be the opposite side. Yes. Okay, so she's right. So if we start looking at where we have values, we have a value on the opposite and a value on the hypotenuse. Well, opposite over hypotenuse, that means we need to pick sine. So I knew this was a sine problem, so I'm going to say sine of 32, because that's my actual angle, equals opposite over hypotenuse.
Times 8.
And literally from here, I'm just going to solve for x. Now, I have not been with you, and I do not know how bad you are at this. Please do not take that the wrong way. I'm about to shut up and let you practice some, and then we're going to review tomorrow and test on this on Wednesday. If Natalie can set this up, I'm going to give her most of her points. If Natalie just struggle buses to solve for x, I'm still going to give her most of her points. I'm going to say maybe minus 2, maybe, if she messes up from here. If she can set it up, I'm going to give her most of her points. Okay, so 8 sine 32 equals x. In my calculator, I press 8 sine 32. And my calculator gave me a weird value.
So you got what's that word, man?
And so I'm wondering if my calculator's in degrees, so I'm going to check the mode. It is in, let's see, it's in radians, so I actually need to change it to degrees. So if you press mode, it's kind of like your settings button on your phone, and I see radian is in bold. I need to scroll over to weirdo thing. I need to scroll over to degree and put it in bold. So if you're ever needing to change from radian to degrees, press mode.
Enter.
Okay, so even though I just typed it in, I need to type it in again because my calculator was in the wrong settings. So now I'm going to press 8 sine 32, and I got 4.2, which is the correct answer. So you're just going to be a little off, but again, then you're starting to miss out on a little bit of points. So I hate for that, especially since the semester has multiple choice. So Kenzie's going to freak out because 4.2 is going to be the answer, and she got 4.4. Maybe she's smart enough to be like, well, it's close enough. But, I mean, close enough only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, so, you know.
On those, do we round with the second number on the decimal?
I would round to 2 decimal places, yes. I would round to 2. If you want to round to more, you want to round to less, they should have specified. They did. They said round to the nearest tenth, so I actually only had to round to 1. I like to because it's not exact because I rounded. But I mean, am I going to be mad about that? No.
So how did you know it was signed?
Okay, well, how did I know it was signed? So I just had to think through labeling stuff. So for instance, on number 6, the hypotenuse is across from that 90, right? Are there any numbers on the hypotenuse?
No.
No. So with Sokotoa, sine needed a hypotenuse, so it's not sine. Cosine needed a hypotenuse, it's not cosine. It's probably a tangent. Okay, so across from the 70 is the 9, so this would be the opposite, which means this x is the adjacent, so I know it's a tangent problem. So tan of 70 equals opposite over adjacent would be 9 over x. And suddenly life is not as much fun. Darn, it was much easier when x was in the numerator. When x is in the denominator, suddenly I got to do x tan 70 equals 9. Then x equals 9 divided by tan 70. Man, I had to do an extra step.
Don't forget the degree.
So I actually do have it in degrees this time. So 9 divided by tan 70. And I got 3.27, so I'm going to say that. It did say, page is correct, I can read now. It did say tenth in the direction, so I should only run to one decimal place, so 3.3.
No, I meant the degree on the paper. Will you take off points if you don't put the...
No. If you don't put the degree symbol, has someone been counting off because you haven't put in the degree symbol?
Yes.
I don't know, but I hated the way she wrote it.
Okay, I'm not counting off because you didn't put a degree symbol.
If you haven't that answer,
Ms. Compton, you know how I do my
The
test.
exact answer that was on the paper, she would have counted.
like you could have
Okay.
put a decimal, right, and missed one number. Like you didn't write one number and it was wrong.
Yeah, like
Okay.
if the answer was wrong, she would mark the whole column.
Well, with logarithms, it was kind of a big deal. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Jeff. I was in my own brain. Thank you. Okay, so my understanding was that you were pretty good at this. Ish?
Yeah.
What chapter is this?
Chapter
But I
12.
still don't understand the word problems like when you have to draw out the things.
Okay.
All right, I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. You can have a point for that. I was actually trying to take your time and everything. This group can have a point for
Yeah,
that.
like on the 6th page, on 4 and 5, it's saying A equals 1 over 16. What is
Okay. Okay, so I need you to go to the page that has a 6 at the bottom. Now, my understanding was that you were supposed to have already done 1 through 5. Okay.
Well, no, you're number 4. Because it only gives you
That's my understanding was you were supposed to have already done 1 through 5. That was my understanding. It's okay if you didn't, but that was my understanding on the page that has a 6 at the bottom.
I did it.
Okay, and then my understanding was as well, you had also done 1 through, on the back. You had done a couple on the back as well.
Can we do that tonight?
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to say, yes, baby. So Seth really needs some points to save his grade, right?
Yeah.
And he needs to practice this because I'm telling him the test has to be Wednesday. I know I just got back. I know I just got back. I know you hadn't done this for long, but this was a fast one. It was supposed to be. So what I'm going to say is, and I will go over what Natalie just asked me about in just a second. I'm going to say tomorrow I'm going to check your 1 through 5 on the front and your 1 through 6 on the back. And it will be, and I will check it tomorrow
1 through 6 on the back.
on the back, 1 through 5 on the front. If Mackenzie wants to do more, and she wants to do more problems, I'll give her a bonus point per extra problem she works. So if she were to work all of this, instead of getting, let's say, 11 points, she would end up getting 13 plus 14, 27 points.
Do we have to do the box numbers?
If you want to work extra ones to get extra points, go for it.
Both pages?
Either page. Okay, so if you want to start working on that, you can. Natalie asked me about number 4, and I'm going to talk to her about it. You and I both know, what are we going to work on tomorrow during class?
Study guide.
Yeah, and then what's going to happen Wednesday? Okay, so as long as we're on the same page. If your group does not have a 5, you can go to a 5. I am going to help Natalie with hers. If you're trying to get your group extra points, clean out your towers. Because, look, I got some junk in there. I look, some people had trash in it. Like, you trying to break my heart? I appreciate my room being clean, but clean out my tower to get your group some extra points. Take off those extra wheels and put them somewhere in the bottom drawer. Natalie, you want a number 4?
Yeah.
I would make it into a fraction. So I draw me a picture. I write an A somewhere. Tangent A is 3/1. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to put the 3 on the opposite, the 1 on the adjacent.
Okay.
I need to find that third side.
Okay. And so then we just find sine.
So sine's going to be opposite over hypotenuse, so it's going to be 3 over whatever that number is that I find. Okay. If you played on your phone this whole class period, and I assume that's what you did while I was gone too, more power to you. Good luck with this end of the semester. It's